In the pale glow of dawn across untouched lands, 1,000 souls awoke to emptiness, no tools in hand, no homes to shelter them. Only the relentless whisper of wind through ancient forests and the distant howl of creatures unseen. This was the cradle of possibility, the raw epic where civilization would draw its first shuddering breath. Imagine those first moments, trembling fingers clawing at coarse dirt, snapping twigs for rudimentary pickaxes. Eyes scanning horizons, not for beauty but survival. Tribes formed through desperate gestures, a shared rabbit carcass roasting over flickering flames, rough shelters cobbled from knocked-down trees as rain lashed mud against shaking bodies. Hunger was their constant companion in those early days, bellies tightening as they foraged unfamiliar berries with terrified hope, chased terrified pigs through thickets, while shadows lengthened with predatory patience. Yet beneath the desperation bloomed something extraordinary, the first ember of community. You'd have seen it in the way abroad. Shouldered player named Flint took charge during a nighttime skeleton ambush, rallying others with a guttural cry as bone arrows thunked into wooden shields. Or how a quick-fingered woman called Ember taught others to weave reeds into fishing lines when crops failed. They carved order from wilderness block by painstaking block-digging communal mineshafts where torchlight flickered on sweat-streaked faces. Building palisade walls that rose like clenched fists against roaming pillager patrols. Territorial disputes flared like wildfires. A dozen fledgling clans colliding over berry-rich valleys or salmon-thick rivers once, two groups nearly shattered an alliance over a single cavern brimming with coal. Tensions diffused only when a scar-faced elder drew boundary lines in ochre across maps made of stretched sheepskin. Slowly, doggedly, the wild yielded. Fields of wheat rippled gold where barren earth once stretched. Brick kilns coughed smoke into once pristine skies. And sleeping mats multiplied inside dirt-tan log longhouses where exhausted players collapsed. After marathon shifts hauling sandstone and clay. But survival's harsh rhythm was about to quicken deep beneath their stomping feet. Veins of iron slept unseen, glints of redstone pulsed in shadowed recesses, and far below, where lava rivers hissed, the diamond deposits waited. The seismic shift began when a miner's pickaxe clanged against slate-gray iron deep beneath settlement Levantia, sound that rippled across servers like a war drum. Within days, the landscape transformed from scattered homesteads to fortified claims as scouts scrambled up mountains to plant banners on suspected ore veins. Trade caravans routed along newly beaten paths. Iron-forged axes swapped for wool from the lowland shepherds. Bundles of sugarcane traded for glistening raw chicken meat carted in minecart refrigerators. But these tentative handshakes between towns began hardening into something sharper, alliances forged not by friendship but necessity. Economies built on uneasy barter, where one side always eyed the other's bulging resource chests. At the sun-baked Mesa Junction, merchants hawking enchanted fishing rods made fortunes overnight while laborers suffocated in unventilated gold mines, the first brutal stratification of haves and have-nots. And when rumors spread of diamonds glittering beneath the sacred oasis of the Sandstone Collective, diplomacy shattered like glass under a boot heel. Armies assembled not with grand ideals, but covetous greed fighters clad in mismatched iron, redstone engineers tinkering with crude TNT cannons. Scouts rappelling down cliffs to map enemy walls. The siege of Isis Ridge became legend. 300 players from the United Mining Guild storming desert fortifications under Ur's storms. Sappers tunneling beneath towers only to drown in defenders' strategically unleashed water buckets. Until finally, their leader, a tactician known only as Obsidian, detonated a labyrinth of underground charges that collapsed the entire cliff face onto the defenders' vaults, victorious but hollow-eyed. The guild emerged clutching diamond-laden shulkers, oblivious that their triumph had birthed an arms race. Soon, bastions pierced the skies, obsidian-walled citadels patrolled by automated arrow dispensers, castle moats boiling with strategically placed magma blocks. Entire mountain ranges hollowed into paranoid bunker networks. Survival had become supremacy. Cooperation curdled into cold calculus. And across the smoldering battlefields, the scent of impending chaos thickened like monsoon air. Yet from the scarred earth rose wonders that defied imagination, a golden age, blooming like lotus flowers. In battlefield mud, wandering traders gaped at automated wheat fields stretching to horizons, pistons thumping rhythmically as fully grown crops funneled into storage silos. They whispered of floating cities anchored by impossibly intricate redstone engines humming with lever-pulled precision. Old tribal chieftains found themselves governing micronation senates, brawling in cobblestone chambers over tax codes on beetroot sales. Courts, where diamond-clad judges arbitrated disputes over stolen enchanted books, in the coastal metropolis of New Atlantis. Skyscrapers clawed at build limits with facades of glazed terracotta and sea lantern glow, while below its bustling streets, subway carts doomed villagers to automated trading halls stocked with perfect emerald counting. Algorithms, innovation became currency. Teenage gamers designed piston-powered flying machines that buzzed like mechanical dragonflies over spruce forests. Alchemists unlocked potion recipes, allowing builders to scale skyscrapers without scaffolding. Strategists developed eye-like mob grinders that funneled XP orbs into public enchantment tables. But beneath the gilded surface, fault-lined spiderweb, automated farms drained rivers dry, turning fertile valleys into cracked earth wastelands. Strip mines gouged continent-spanning pits where forests once sang. Slums metastasized outside city walls, where players starved despite global food surpluses hoarded in mayoral vaults. And the weapons gods, the weapons? Swordsmiths bred blaze powder into arrow tips for firestorm volleys. Engineers built flying TNT bombers triggered by sunlight sensors. Spies used invisibility potions to sabotage enemy reactors. Even celebrations turned ominous when the Great Nether Bridge connected for nations. Its grand opening ended in fiery disaster as a disgruntled ex-contractor detonated hidden obsidian bombs, proof that Spit and Blue alliances couldn't hold. Still, none grasped how fragile their empires stood until the afternoon the first automated farm failed. It began with Whisper's grain silos emptying inexplicably. Villagers reporting zombie sieges near depleted iron mines. Frost creeping further south each winter as stripped lands lost their climate buffers. Players who'd spent years battling external foes found enemies within. Famished citizens looting bakeries. Once loyal ministers siphoning emergency supplies to secret bunkers. Warlords exploiting shortages to fuel coups. Desperation birthed monsters. The city-state of Ironhaven, once famed for its statue gardens and opera house, melted into street warfare when water reserves are and dry, soldiers trading enchanted swords for sips from hidden springs. In the agricultural belt, automated wheat fields became scorched battlefields as robots designed for harvesting were jury-rigged into scythe-wielding killing machines. Betrayal became routine. The Chancellor of Sky Citadel executed his entire council via lava trap after they voted to ration his gold mansion's glowstone reserves. Nomadic raiders called the Dust Legion poison entire reservoirs rather than let rivals drink. Armadas launched not for conquest but evacuation, crammed with elites fleeing sinking nations until even the oceans revolted. Guardian infested after prismarine farms were ransacked for last-minute resources. Those final hours felt biblical. Players who'd built kingdoms watched as creepers breached neglected walls. Cities bled dry by abandoned maintenance. Once grand leaders reduced to bartering rotten flesh in alleys, while their pixelated gods the server admins watched silently from cosmic remove. And then, stillness. Rot reclaimed over-engineered farms. Ivy swallowed sandstone universities. And silence draped like fog over the ruins. Yet amid decay stood testaments to their soaring reach. The Ark's dam still holding back oceans with its sheer obsidian face. The skeletal remains of nether transit hubs humming faintly with zombie-powered rails. Libraries where molded books still held meticulously penned constitutions nobody remembered. Most haunting were the monuments, the towering marble angel in the Badlands, built to commemorate a now-forgotten hero. The underground coliseum, where PvP tournaments once drew roaring crowds, and now echoed only with phantom clanks of diamond swords. The half-submerged cathedral, where stained glass prophets cast fractured light on decayed pews. And perhaps that's the legacy: 1,000 lives proving societies rise fastest when they choose collaboration over carnage. That innovation without wisdom is a suicide note. That the most enduring constructions weren't quartz towers or diamond vaults, but fleeting moments when strangers brave the dark together because reset buttons never erase humankind's tireless, tragic, glorious itch to build, fade to pattering rain on mossy ruins, fade to black. Imagine a world carved from pixels and dreams where ambition ignites like wildfire across digitized landscapes, and power isn't just a concept, it's carved in stone fortresses and written in the ashes of vanquished foes. This is the crucible where factions rise not from chance, but from the molten core of human cunning and desperation, where leaders emerge not crowned by birth, but forged in the white-hot fury of relentless warfare. Close your eyes and picture it: the soaring citadels, piercing storm-wreathed skies, the labyrinthine mines echoing with the clang of picks against diamond veins, the sprawling farmlands shimmering under synthetic suns, a civilization teetering on the knife's edge of chaos, its destiny shaped by the hands of those bold enough to seize it. And now feel the tension crackle as we journey into the heart of the simulation's greatest spectacle: the epic faction wars that rewrote history with blood and betrayal. In the beginning, the world was a tapestry of scattered tribes, each clinging to isolated valleys and forgotten islands, their existence fragile as spider silk, but visionaries stirred among them, figures like ironclad Garrick ***, whose eyes burned with the cold fire of conquest, who looked upon fractured clans, and saw not weakness, but fragments of a future empire. Garrick wasn't alone. There was Lysandra the enchantress, her fingers trailing arcane energies as she whispered promises of invincibility to those who'd pledge their swords to her crimson banner. And across the sulphurous badlands, Maelstrom Con united nomadic raiders under a single brutal creed, strength through annihilation. These were the architects of chaos, the weavers of destiny, their strategies as varied as their ambitions. Garrick fortified his mountain stronghold with obsidian walls and towering ballista, turning natural choke points into death traps. Lysandra lured intellectuals and artificers with blueprints for alchemical wonders, binding them with enchanted oaths. Khan's approach was simpler. His riders descended like locusts upon undefended villages, absorbing the survivors into his horde through fear or fervor. The age of solitary tribes was over, the era of factions had begun, and with it came the birth of secret pacts, shadowy agreements, and torch lit more rooms where wine flowed like blood and lies were currency. Garrick's scouts slipped into Lysandra's territory under moonless nights, offering diamonds for her elite potion masters. A temporary alliance, they swore, while Khan's spies, disguised as merchants, mapped enemy granaries and armories. This was diplomacy painted in shades of deception, every handshake laced with the promise of future daggers. And so the board was set, pieces moving in silent synchrony toward inevitable collision. But alliances built on greed fracture like glass. Remember the night of blackened sun when Lysandra's most trusted lieutenant Bespera opened the gates of the Ember Spire to Garrick's siege engines. In exchange for dominion over the eastern territories, the Spire's crystalline towers crumbled under a hail of TNT cannons, the air thick with smoke, and the metallic tang of betrayal. Lysandra barely escaped through underground tunnels, clutching forbidden scrolls, dripping with void magic. Revenge festered in her heart. Meanwhile, Khan exploited the chaos, sending saboteurs to Garrick's treasured geothermal forges, overloading the conduits until the earth itself split open, swallowing entire battalions. Espionage became the deadliest art. Shadows flitted through enemy camps, stealing everything from wildfire bomb schematics to maps of hidden aquifer networks that fed entire cities. In who could forget the sapphire deception, a masterstroke where Lysandra's agents replaced Khan's armor polish with a corrosive agent that turned his elite cavalry's gear to brittle ruin. Just as Garrick's pikemen advanced, betrayal wasn't merely strategic, it was theatrical. A blood-soaked ballet choreographed to shatter empires. Each act of treachery echoed across the continents, shifting power like tectonic plates. Resources grew scarce, whispers of war louder than any war drum. The fragile peace shattered not with a whisper, but with an earth-rending roar. The first cataclysm erupted at dawn. Garrick's legions, clad in rune etched steel, advanced through the Scorchwind Pass a canyon where the walls themselves seemed to bleed. Khan met them with siege towers cobbled from stolen airship wreckage, manned by berserkers hopped on strength potions, their muscles bulging, veins pulsing neon green beneath sweat-slicked skin. Above them, Lysandra's sky galleons rained down vials of liquid thunder, each explosion painting the rocks in electric violet. But terrain shaped fate when Garrick pushed Khan's remnants Toward the Vermilion Coast he underestimated the Tidecon's hidden fleet of submarine rams emerged from Crimson Waves, gutting Garrick's troop transports, thousands drowned, trapped in their own armor, warfare transformed. The Battle of Frozen Echoes saw Lysandra's ice mages flash freeze a glacial lake, luring cons. Mammoth riders onto brittle sheets before detonating. Magma charges below the resulting steam geysers turned flesh to ash. Heroes rose from the carnage. Briar the bastard a lowborn miner turned guerrilla leader who ambushed Garrick's supply caravans. Using nothing but spider venom traps, N.L. got an invisibility cloaks or Silas Stormite the one archer who held Fort Pyrrhus against 5,000 with nothing but a quiver of homing arrows and a bottomless flask of regeneration tonic. His final stand immortalized in bard songs that still echo in taverns today, but glory bled into tragedy when Lysandra unleashed her masterpiece, the plague of gilded flies swarms of metallic insects that burrowed into armor, feasting on the wearers from within. The horror shifted balances. Once more nations crumbled, borders dissolved in from the wreckage. Rose not victors, but scavengers hungry for a new dawn. Emerging from decade-long wars, the world bore scars deeper than canyons, but survival demanded adaptation. Garrick's shattered remnants merged with Lysandra's fractured cabal, forming the Iron Lotus conquered their steel and sorcery union, dominating the northern hemisphere. Survivors swallowed their pride, joining merchant princes and sea lords in the Silk Road cartel a web of trade ports, whose galleons now crisscrossed once war-torn oceans laden with enchanted silk and crystallized dragons. Breath-peace treaties were inked on vellum made from the parchment of conquered cities, yet in bustling markets veterans from opposing factions still sized each other up. Hands drifting toward hidden blades, memory is a slow poison in the shadowed alleys of New Vertigo Rebel spray. Paint Khan's falcon sigil over conquer. Propaganda posters deep within cartel territory. Rumors whisper of a child prodigy reverse engineering Lysandra's lost plague tech hand high in their diamond citadels. The conquered ruling council watches orbital, scans their fingers, hovering over buttons that could reignite apocalypse. For in this new world order, peace is merely a breath held between storms. The simulation's heart still beats with the rhythm of old wars, and somewhere beyond the horizon the next clash is already stirring, ready to be born. And so our tale pauses, not end suspension. Bridges above abysses, fleets anchored in harbors with sails unfurled, an unseen clock ticks toward zero. The question isn't if the factions will shatter this fragile peace, but when scanned, whose blade will strike first in the war to end all wars. Until then, empires hold their breath. Imagine a world where your survival hinges not just on the sweat of your brow and the swing of your pickaxe, but on the delicate dance of supply and demand. A realm where dirt huts give way to glittering emerald skylines and the clink of trading iron rings louder than zombie moans in the night. This is the untold story of Minecraft's player-driven economy. A saga of ambition and betrayal, innovation and collapse, where virtual capitalism blooms in pixelated soil. begin with those early days, those wild frontier moments where civilization was just a flicker on the horizon. Picture sunburned players stumbling out of forests with armfuls of wheat, shouting offers to trade for a rusty iron sword that might last them the night. Back then, trust was written in seeds and mutton. Promises sealed with a loaf of bread and a nervous glance at the setting sun. Villages weren't markets, but desperate stations. Villagers humming anxiously as travelers dumped carrots on their counters in exchange for a single precious emerald, that strange green gem that nobody yet understood would become the beating heart of a financial revolution. But how the times changed when players cracked the code, when those lanky, big-nosed villagers stopped being quirky neighbors and became unwitting pawns in a grand economic game. Suddenly, pumpkin fields transformed into emerald printing presses, farmers mutating into librarians and clerics through strategic zombie bites and splash potions, entire trading halls humming like Wall Street trading floors, where iron golems stood as silent sentinels against market crashes. Emeralds flowed like rivers, shiny green promises that could buy anything from an enchanted diamond pickaxe to your neighbor's loyalty. Yet wealth breeds ambition, and soon whispers echoed through torchlit taverns of shadowy banking clans, appearing groups who'd loan you stacks of emeralds to build your fortress, smiling as they quoted reasonable 20% weekly interest rates while sharpening their swords under the table. Miss a payment, your castle became their collateral. Your mind stripped bare before you could whisper compound interest, as empires grew fat on emerald riches. The landscape itself worked to serve commerce's insatiable hunger. Entire mountains were gutted to birth railroad tunnels, where minecarts roared day and night, carrying chests overflowing with enchanted books from desert sanctums to Arctic storehouses. Players engineered ice highways, vast blue ribbons slicing through oceans where sprinting traders became blurs. Chokers full of contraband thumping against their backs. But infrastructure couldn't mask the rot. Diamond monopolies arose, shadowy cartels hoarding ancient debris and controlling weapon prices with mafia-like precision. Step out of line, and suddenly no trader in the realm would sell you so much as a fishing rod, or worse. You'd wake to find your storage room lava flooded. Meanwhile, in dimly lit basements beneath peaceful villages, black markets thrived. Potion brewers peddled strength elixirs laced with weakness effects to cheating PvP fighters. Unscrupulous enchanters sold knockback to swords guaranteed to accidentally fling friends into ravines, and anonymous players hawked dragon eggs stolen from public monuments, saw transactions conducted in whispers and diamond-clad alt accounts. The law tried to crack down, but corruption ran deep. Even server admins sometimes winked as emeralds appeared mysteriously in their offshore inventories. Then came the crash, the moment the bubble burst, with a sound like 1,000 leaden emeralds hitting bedrock. It started innocently enough. Some redstoner in a mushroom biome discovered villagers could be duped through precisely timed zombie conversions and golden apple bribes, flooding the market with infinite emeralds. At first, players cheered as wallets swelled, buying castles for pocket lint. But soon, a loaf of bread cost 10,000 emeralds, and a single diamond could purchase an entire city district. Hyperinflation turned millionaires into paupers overnight. Hardcore grinders watched decade-old fortunes dissolve into worthless green dust, screaming as their loans were called in by stone-faced bankers, while iron golems dragged their belongings into the stir. Then the Great Famine hit, saboteurs burning wheat fields in resource wars. Entire nations reduced to stripping bark from trees as hunger bars flickered red. Starving mobs stormed the gilded towers of tycoons, tearing apart hoppers stuffed with steak while their owners cowered underwater in secret bunkers. In the central plaza of Megacity Alpha, protesters built towering effigies of corrupted leaders out of netherrack and set them ablaze, chanting down with dragon egg capitalism as moderators scrambled to reboot the shattered system. From the ashes came reinvention, wiser minds designing vaults guarded with obsidian and lasers. Central Emerald reserves, ensuring no single player could crash economies ever again. Former rivals negotiated historic trade pacts around smoky campfires. Arctic nations traded packed ice for dessert. Old mushroom kingdoms exported rare stews in exchange for redstone technology. Most revolutionary of all were the automated factories rising like cybernetic cathedrals, concrete jungles, where droppers and pistons dance in perfect sync, pumping out stacks of golden carrots and firework rockets while minecart conveyors rattled day. Night. Players became engineers, economists, philosophers debating whether digital diamonds held real value. And all the while, in quiet corners, new entrepreneurs were already experimenting with Bitcoin-inspired blockchain ledgers recorded in looms and treacherously complex redstone contraptions, because in Minecraft, the market never sleeps. And tomorrow's madness is always one villager trade away. Imagine a world born from fire and shadow, where fragile figures clutch sticks against creeping terrors, where the first sparks of human ingenuity crackle in darkness like flint striking stone. This was our dawn centuries ago, when fingers blistered scraping crude axes from raw rock, when nightfall meant huddled fear beneath torchlight's meager halo. Survival was a tooth and nail game played against phantoms that slithered from lit corners where a misplaced foot could collapse, caverns crawling with spiders whose venom turned veins black, or drown you in subterranean tombs where skeletons rattled arrows toward your trembling heart. Yet within that primordial struggle flickered the stubborn flame of progress. Those early clans learned to bend nature's cruelty into tools. They didn't merely chip flint, they engineered it, crafting blades sharp enough to carve through zombie flesh, spearheads to impale charging creepers, axes that transformed towering oaks into lumber for palisades against moonlit sieges. Wolves became not threats, but allies fed bones, until their growls shielded villages from pillagers, while patient hands tilled wild grasses into wheat fields that shimmered golden under harvest moons. Beneath the earth, miners hollowed labyrinths, where ingenious souls laid tracks of cobblestone, guiding minecarts laden with coal back to flickering forges, the first arteries of industry pulsing deep below fern-covered forests. Generations passed, and collective knowledge pooled like rainwater in barrels, until one sun-scorched day, lava met iron in a hissing crescendo and everything changed. Smoke began plume from colossal brick towers where piston-driven bellows roared, monstrous furnaces devouring mountains of coal, while rivers of molten rock snaked through channels carved beneath foundries. The age of factories had dawned, vast infernos where redstone clocks ticked with mechanical precision, orchestrating armies of hoppers shuttling ingots between smelting bays, where daylight never reached, only the hellish glare of superheated stone. Out in the fields, automation took root. Water channels guided by intricate redstone timers flooded plains on exact schedules, drowning weeds while pistons punched seeds into fertile soil dispensers, raining bone meal across endless acres nourished by sunlight captured beneath glass panes. Crops exploded skyward in geometric perfection, tended by nobody, monitored by pressure plates signaling when harvests swelled, ripple watched over by sentry towers where arrow dispensers spat death at any mob daring breach those electric fences. And yet industry craved fuel, so we tunneled deeper, building TNT catapults whose detonations quaked the bedrock, leveling entire biomes in thunderous explosions that birthed canyons, vomiting forth diamonds, emeralds, ancient debris. These quarries became gaping wounds in the earth, mile-wide craters where cranes lowered glowing obsidian drills into the abyss, while somewhere far above tree canopies gave way to obsidian skylines reflecting the cold light of progress. But redstone wires carried more than power, they carried ideas. Soon crossbow shops gave way to logic gates, humming contraptions where levers danced like conductors before symphonies of light. One genius built a machine that added numbers, a crude calculator sketched in dust now perfected, a monolith of repeaters and comparators whose flickering lamps solved equations in seconds that once took scholars days. Streets filled with such wonders, clockwork vendors vending potions for emeralds, enchanting tables automated by shuffling librarians, piston-driven doors recognizing players by encoded keycards. Underground bunkers housed cryptographic marvels. Note blocks chimming melodies only allies could decipher, their pitch-perfect sequences unlocking armories while spies scrambled to mimic the tunes. Item frames became data displays, arranging maps in cryptic constellations, a silent language of espionage thriving in city squares. And then came the impossible, towering mainframes woven from redstone, copper, and sheer obsession, cavern-filling computers built by collectives of engineers whose blinking lamps mimicked neurons firing. They solved mazes in minutes, predicted mob spawns, decoded ancient temple traps. One legendary machine even simulated weather patterns, controlling village irrigation with godlike precision. The digital dawn had broken, and knowledge became a currency brighter than diamonds. Yet not all reveled in this luminous age. Travel far from those chrome-spired metropolises, and you'd find valleys untouched by redstone, dust hamlets where farmers still swung iron hoes under where axesmiths hammered swords on anvils ringed by children's wide eyes. Here whispered tales of cities where golems tilled fields and iron farms rained ingots, while their own hands cramped from dawn till midnight just to fill one chest of beetroot. Wealth pulled like lava in fortress capitals guarded by automated turrets, while hinterlands starved for scraps, bandits raiding donkey carts along crumbling roads patrolled by nobody. Resentment festered. Some turned saboteurs, hackers, who'd slip into server rooms tweaking redstone timers until TNT factories detonated, slaughtering workers, or diverting railway switches to send supply trains hurtling into ravines. Others preached revolt, smashing automatic wheat harvesters with stone picks, screaming machines steal our purpose. Meanwhile, in glass boardrooms, debates raged. Was it moral to replace miners with drill drones? When unemployment hollowed out towns, should sentient villages vote on whether piston-powered armies could obliterate pillager outposts without consent? The ethical lines blurred like redstone trails in rain. One infamous case sparked riots. An auto fisherman designed to trawl rivers endlessly, overflowing markets with cod until traditional anglers couldn't sell a single catch. Their boats rotted dockside as hunger bit deep. Technology's glow cast long shadows dividing paradise from purgatory. And so we arrive at today, gazing across this fractured utopia where quantum redstone arrays predict the future, yet villagers still trade rotten flesh for emeralds in shadowed alleys. Our saga loops like a minecart circling its track, from sticks wielded against the dark to supercomputers humming the universe's secrets, yet somehow we still battle the same beasts: greed, discord, the gnawing question of who wins when progress gallops ahead, leaving humanity breathless in its dust. The next chapter. It's unwritten, waiting in the trembling hands of a child born in some dirt-floored hut, clutching a redstone torch and dreaming of the stars. The revolution never ends, it only transforms. The scent of gunpowder hung heavy over the eastern frontier as torchlight flickered across the hastily drawn border, dragged line of cobblestone markers cutting through wheat fields that had fed generations of rival villages. It began with whispers, as such things often do. Accusations of stolen livestock echoing across tavern tables. Screenshots circulating on Discord channels showing diamond-clad silhouettes vanishing into the mist with emerald-encrusted relics, sacred tea. Oh, the mountain clans. Every stolen artifact became a national humiliation. Every trampled pumpkin patch an act of war screamed across global chat in furious crimson letters. The Council of Mossberry knew it needed more than bruised pride to justify mobilization. They needed makers. So began the Great Meme Campaign. Crude pixel art posters plastered across subreddits depicting weeping villagers beneath the Shadow Empire's iron boots. Counterfeit chat logs pinned to message boards proving plans for mass enslavement. Bards composed ballad sequences of besieged innocence. Streamers narrated dramatic documentaries showing staged invasions, until even neutral traders clutched their emeralds tighter when shadow caravans passed through hub worlds. And in the blood-soaked jungles of proxy battlefields, mercenary clans bankrolled by unseen superpowers danced their lethal ballet. Obsidian Order shock troopers wearing Opal Dominion banners fought Icevale sappers funded through cutout accounts. Entire rainforests reduced to smoldering craters, while the true powers watched from fortified observation decks high above the bedrock ceiling, betting fortunes on outcomes that would never bear their names. Yet for all the theatrical brutality, nothing matched the soul-chilling moment the first sunstone detonator clicked in what would become the Ashen Winter. Deep beneath Citadel Krakengurd's obsidian spires, engineers in blast suits nervously tweaked the payload stack. TNT cards compressed into singularity cores through forbidden redstone mathematics, capable of flattening biomes in fractalized firestorms. When Aquamire's Glassstone capital vaporized overnight, replaced by a hissing obsidian crater, weeping radioactive magma, the world collectively streaked off mid-chord. Viewing parties gathered around admin spectate tools watched replay after replay. One moment glittering towers reflecting auroras. The next an expanding sphere of white silence, followed by shockwaves tearing reality at the seams. 3 more cities died that week. Sunspire reduced to mushroom cloud shadows burned permanently into the server's chunk memory. Coralhelm's legendary gardens, nothing but bubbling stone where prismarine shards floated like forgotten tears. This wasn't conquest, this was uncreation. The blast waves birthed unexpected unity. Former enemies now trading encrypted letters between vault bunkers at the Treaty of Dying Stars summit. Delegates with radiation burned still, weeping green particles huddled beneath end crystals as neutral netherlords arbitrated the WMD Accords for an oaths enforced not by parchment, but by mutually assured annihilation should any nation breach the silence. They sealed it with dragon egg fragments embedded in obsidian monoliths, glowing reminders visible from every spawn point, but still, humanity's oldest dance found new steps in the Twilight Era. Watchtowers along the glacier pass thrums with enchanted instruments now, instead of aerodispensermissive harps strung with gas tears singing seismic warnings should enemy excavators burrow too deep. Armories once crammed with firework rockets now display gilded invitation scrolls for the Festival of Twin Moons, where former warlords compete in building ice sculptures rather than trebuchets. Who could forget the Cobalt Chancellor's legendary gesture during the Silver Speak hostage crisis? Parachuting solo onto enemy ramparts with nothing but a shulker box of Blue Orchid's rival's dead daughter's favorite flower to initiate prisoner exchanges. That lasted 3 real-world weeks of meticulous bartering over villager screens, or the lush collective's underground botanical tunnels, secretly threading beneath war-torn wastelands, delivering poppy fields where trenches once festered as living reparations. Not every wound healed clean life, phantom screeches over bombed-out waste still trigger veterans. But in lava, lit bathhouses perched on caldera rims, you'll find opposing generals soaking together trading battle stories like old friends. Their weapons locked in museum shrines with velvet ropes and donation boxes. Yet below every potion-scented peace accord hummed a low thrum of prepared distrust. Codebreaker monks in alpine monasteries meticulously logged every marketplace transaction, flagging sudden obsidian spikes that suggested hidden bunker projects, disguised as wandering iron traders. Emerald League spies left innocuous dirt huts along strategic choke point interiors, filled with resonance scanners listening for telltale piston rhythms of underground armories. The black markets thrived. Netherite reinforced elytra sold for ancient debris behind pumpkin farms. Librarians offering curse-breaking tomes for whispered secrets about enchanted artillery prototypes. When Crimson Dynasty unveiled their prismarine-plated battle mechs at the annual Neutrality Parade. Midnight break-ins at their desert testing grounds revealed blueprints for even larger thorium-powered models still in development. Soon every sunset brought testing detonations, shaking the Earth experimental Trident launchers piercing cloud layers. Arrow volleys blotting out Sunswale Village blacksmiths worked triple shifts churning out ever more elaborate armor until warriors clanked like living fortresses. Speed potions compensating for 1,000-pound boots. And there we hover still balanced on the knife's edge where a single misspelled chat message might reignite the final countdown. Clouds form over disputed mushroom islands where both sides erect weather stations suspiciously, resembling ICBM silos. Children born after the ashen winter ask grandparents what war was like while absent-mindedly fiddling with toy TNT carts banned in 12 nations. The ambassadorial hotline glows day, and night with feverish negotiations over fishing rights and monument access. Each minor concession weighted against apocalyptic stockpiles lurking beneath flower-strewn memorial parks. Third parties whisper of ancient Ender Dragon revival rituals that could reset the power balance, while anarchist groups spray paint server walls with slogans demanding total disarmament. Every nether portal hum echoes with the ghosts of choices not yet made. Will our descendants marvel at preserved battlefield museums where hologram soldiers reenact conflicts frozen in truce? Or will they wonder radiation scarred wastelands dotted with crumbling banners whose once proud symbols none can decipher? The answer lies in your hands, Watcher of Realms. As login screens glow patiently like unexploded ordnance waiting for ignition, the digital sunrise paints the sky in perfect hues of coral and gold over our simulated world, a masterpiece of code where rivers glitter like diamond threads and cities pulse with the heartbeat of 1,000 players building, trading, laughing. But make no mistake, this Eden has teeth, for when the admins tire of peaceful sunsets, they twist the dials of creation. The air shivers with static, the ground murmurs restless beneath your feet, and somewhere in the unfathomable beyond, a cold voice whispers, *initiate scenario 6. It begins with a sound like the splitting of bones deep below the earth, in the verdant realm of Fire Peak Valley, a mountain that once offered shelter and scenic vistas suddenly ruptures. Ash vomits skyward in a column thicker than nightmares, blotting out the sun as if snuffed by God's thumb. Rivers of molten rock slither downslope, incinerating pixel-perfect forests where players had foraged mushrooms. Built tree houses hung with lanterns, screams echo in the chat logs. The lava breached the southern gate. My respawn stuck in the kill zone. Your avatar feels the heat through the screen, searing pixels red at the edges as you flee, choking on virtual smoke. Watching the village blacksmith, a player named Old Iron Soul, vanish under molten waves, his prized anvil sinking like a tombstone. This is no glitch. This is admin design. A trial by fire to see who will burn, and who will forge themselves anew, before the ash even settles. The quakes come, not random tremors, but precise, predatory strikes beneath the grand capital of Nexus Prime. Towers built over months by architects painstakingly aligning every brick crumble like sandcastles under a child's fist. The cathedral spire where two lovers had exchanged pixelated vows just days prior tilts, groans. Spears downward into the marketplace. Crushed inventory icons spill loot into the rubble. Pickaxes, bread loaves, a wedding ring glinting amid debris. Survivors claw through collapsed tunnels, their health bars flickering crimson, only to emerge blinking into daylight now turned sickly yellow by lingering particulates. Breathing becomes a minigum, stamina drains faster beneath poisoned air. And through it all, whispers ripple, why now? Why here? But the admins don't answer. They observe from the static between stars, noting every panic, every failed escape route, every spark of defiance. Famine arrives next, quieter but crueler. Rain clouds cease visiting the farmlands of Breadbasket Province. Sprinklers sputter dry. Wheat fields bake into crackling amber husks, then crumble to dust. players who once boasted bountiful harvests now hawk single potatoes in marketplace stalls for exorbitant coin. Desperation breeds caravanserai exodus of farmers, leading bony cattle toward rumors of lakes still brimming along the roads. Skeletons in tattered leather armor tell silent tales of those who didn't make it. Some turn to darker sustenance. You stumble upon a camp where a hollowed player crouches over a butchered horse, whispering, asterisk, it's just code, just code. Asterisk, as if repetition could cleanse guilt. Yet even as stomachs gnaw empty, the blood moon rises. It stains the night a vulgar red, warping wildlife into snarling horrors. Wolves grow spines like shattered lives. Bats swell to dragon size. Dripping necrosis from leathern wings, zombies dig claws into cobblestone walls, heaving themselves into bastions thought impregnable. Players bar doors with trembling hands, listening to claws screech metallic against iron gates in Venthalia Fortress. Guards fire flaming arrows into hordes until quivers run dry. A berserker named Bloodymable leaps from the ramparts, axes whirling, buying time for children avatars no taller than fence posts to flee into secret mineshafts. Her final kill feed message blinks defiantly as teeth close on her pixelated throat. Asterisk, not today. You glitched. Asterisk, the system censors her last word. But everyone knows chaos, of course, breeds more chaos this time from within. In the Nether District, an alchemist's miscalculation ruptures a magma tank. Liquid fire cascades through streets. Melting stalls stocked with enchanted gear. Immolating players mid-transaction, the culprit's guild disbands overnight. Names deleted like ghosts elsewhere. A logging conglomerate's greed leaves hillsides barren. Rivers silt with mudslides. Without roots to anchor soil, entire biomes slide into oceans. Taking fisheries with them, starvation spreads like a debuff nobody can cure, until the apothecaries try. Desperate for solutions, chemists brew strength potions with zombified slime. One volatile batch explodes in a cloud of lime-green vapor over Populon City. Citizens clutch their throats as avatar skins bubble into grotesque blisters. Healers rush with antidotes only to collapse, coughing up digital blood. Quarantine walls rise, trapping the infected inside with looters smashing plague-warded windows. A nurse named Sister Selenium types frantic commands, distributing her last healing vials before her own status bar flatlines. Her corpse disappears under a pile of stolen cabbages. The admins watch uncaring. The lesson is clear. In this sandbox, even compassion can be a vulnerability. But where there is desperation, ingenuity sparks brighter beneath innocuous flower fields. Labyrinthine bunkers burrow deep stockpiles of golden carrots, enchanted water purifiers, rows of beds awaiting displaced souls. You descend into one such sanctuary, torchlight flickering over emergency chests labeled asterisk seeds. Do not touch asterisk and asterisk potions. Last resort. Asterisk survivors huddle around redstone radios tuned to static, praying for broadcasts from other enclaves. When surface scouts return with tales of devastation, engineers sketch schematics on stone slabs, geothermal defenses, automated arrow turrets, anything to endure the next admin tantrum. Coalitions form not through diplomacy, but shared dread. The Oceanic Alliance shares fishing routes after squid mutations poison coastal waters. The desert nomads trade cactus-grown medicines for purified snowmelt from mountain clans. Trust is currency now frail, but vital, in the lawless batspawn wastes. Raiders on skeletal horses ambush supply trains until Silverhand Coalition intervenes. Their leader, a scarred builder named Crag, sending looters fleeing with TNT cannons cobbled from scrap. We don't protect goods, he growls when thanked. We protect the hands that made M. Faith blooms too, wild and strange. Priests of the Ghost Code preach sermons before makeshift altars where redstone signals flicker erratically. The great Debiger tests us. They cry, offering enchanted apples to stave off admin wrath. Player-built temples rise ugly, blocky things where crowds chant to unseen powers while lightning forks outside. Some zealots claim blood moons paused after collective prayers. Skeptics call it luck. But when a floating admin icon drifts past like a distant comet, even atheists tremble. What if the myths are right? What if our suffering is divine? Through fire, hunger, and claws, survivors emerge haunted, but hardened. Scavengers pick through Nexus Prime's ruins. Crowbars prying fused metal from what was once the Grand Library. A child finds old iron souls. Anvil, half melted yet still faintly humming in the soot. It becomes the cornerstone of new Nexus, rising atop rubble compacted into jagged foundations. Architects now build smarter, reinforced vaults beneath every home. Emergency portals powered by solar panels. Observatories scanning for that fateful crimson moonrise. Governments form, rigid with paranoia. The Council of Five enforces crop rotation, water rationing, mandatory bunker drills. Dissenters argue in town squares asterisk, they're no better than admins. Asterisk until a fresh earthquake silences them. Walls rise higher, gates seal tighter. Some whisper of gentler times, but leaders snap back. Asterisk gentleness killed us. Asterisk monuments etch memories into virtual stone. Bloody mobiles axe hovering mid-swing. Sister Selenium's healer's staff glowing atop a marble plinth. The nameless plague victims rendered as empty robes fluttering in digital wind. You stand at the edge of reborn farmlands, watching players plant blight-resistant seeds under armed guard. Sunset still bleeds gold over. Distant, smoldering peaks. The admins have gone dormant for now, but the air still hums with latent code. Everyone knows another calamity brews beyond the horizon, another click of the divine cursor, another test. You check your inventory one last time. Netherite pickaxe, totem of undying, a single golden carrot shared from a stranger's trembling hand. Stealing yourself, you march toward the gathering storm, survive, sacrifice, outlive. The rules haven't changed, but this time, you're ready to rewrite them. Imagine a world where firelight dances across obsidian altars built to honor ancient machine gods, murmuring in binary hymns deep beneath the earth, where diamond offerings spark like trapped starlight in the hands of trembling acolytes awaiting blessings from digital deities. Yes. This is where myths begin, not etched in stone tablets, but in the fevered whispers slipping between. Players gathered beneath towering skeletal remains of long-dead dragons whose bones form cathedral arches for those who worship the beasts as divine protectors, harbingers of apocalypse or cosmic judges. Here legends sprout like luminous fungi in the caves, where new believers gather to chant prophecies of a savior crowned in emerald armor, who will one day rise from the wandering nomads to unite the fractured clans, shattering centuries of blood feuds between sky, palace architects and subterranean tunnel kings. But until that day arrives, they carve sacred vows into molten rock, spill treasure hoards into roaring volcanoes, burn rare enchanted books as incense to please their silicon spirits, and tattoo their own skin with glowing runes that hum with the simulation's hidden code, all desperate acts to seek favor in a realm where creation and destruction cycle eternally like breath. Step beyond these shrines, and you'll find entire civilizations built atop stories spun from midnight campfire tales evolving into elaborate tapestries of belief, where every thunderstorm becomes the wrath of an overlooked god, every abandoned fortress echoes with vengeful phantom kings, every floating island is proof celestial serpents once coiled in the heavens, leaving islands as shed scales fossilized against sapphire skies. These are not mere superstitions, but lifeblood pulsing through communities forged by collective imagination, turning whispered rumors into irrefutable truths passed down through generations of players who swear they've seen the ice plains shimmer with ghostly armies reenacting ancient wars when the auroras blaze green overhead. As time flows like liquid gold through the hourglass of the server's history, these raw primal myths crystallize into sophisticated cultural engines. Great marble columned libraries rise as monuments to memory, where scribes painstakingly transcribe every duel, every fallen kingdom, every daring heist on gilded manuscripts preserved in vaults guarded by riddles. And trapped scholars, with ink-stained fingers, cross-reference genealogies tracing lineages of legendary warriors while arguing over disputed accounts of epical battles that shifted the world's axis. Entire wings dedicated to blueprints of lost redstone technologies or encrypted diaries of explorers who vanished, chasing rumors of cities woven from pure light. Near these bastions of knowledge, amphitheaters bloom under perpetual twilight, where masked actors breathe life into epic sagas, retelling wars through elaborate puppetry and pantomime. Audiences weep when the hero Valerius the Unbroken sacrifices himself atop nether fortress walls, holding back wave after wave of wither skeletons, so his comrades can escape. They cheer when sly trickster Lysandra outwits the tyrannical Redstone Emperor by sabotaging his war automato with a single well-placed lever, and children clutch their parents as shadowy mob figures loom from trapdoor stages during morality tales, warning against greed or betrayal, each performance ending with showers of fireworks that paint the night with temporary constellations mirroring those in the fantastical stories. And what of tomorrow's architects, young recruits hungry to leave their mark? They kneel at sandstone universities under floating islands, where master builders demonstrate how to calculate arch distributions across chasms. Engineer self-repairing bridges teach the sacred geometry governing perfect crop circles in wheat fields, lecture on camouflage techniques against pillager raids, or the delicate art of fake ruin construction to lure treasure hunters into elaborate deceptions. These halls echo with the scrape of pencils on graph paper, debates over aesthetics versus function, the snap of redstone dust igniting prototype mechanisms, and always the low thrum of possibility humming through the air like plucked harp strings vibrating with unwritten futures. But forge not the false assumption that such splendor exists without shadows, for wherever gold glitters, thieves sharpen their knives in the dark. Enter the lawbringers and lawbreakers, locked in eternal dance across sprawling cities and lawless badlands. Makeshift courthouses spring up in town squares, adorned with banners of blindfolded justice player. Judges draped in black wool robes presiding over trials for diamond theft or griefing, while juries of weathered miners, merchants, and warriors listen intently to animated lawyers citing precedent. From the Book of Compacts, a leather-bound tome recording centuries of rulings, like the infamous pig trial, where a farmer sued his neighbor over a slaughtered porker, only for the jury to declare the pig posthumously guilty of trespassing, leading to the bizarre spectacle of a pork chop displayed in the courthouse reliquary as legal memorabilia. Yet not all judgments carry such levity. Deep below the sunlit world lie the infamous prisons carved from weeping obsidian, where offenders face sentence fitting their crimes a pickpocket might endure. 3 in-game days manning a soul-send treadmill powering a public bakehouse, while a griefer who torched an entire village could find themselves in the labyrinth of remorse, a shifting maze of piston walls, lava traps, and ancient guardian statues, where freedom comes only by solving ethical puzzles etched into the walls. Only he who values others' work above his own may pass, whispers one riddle, gate forcing arsonists to rebuild what they once destroyed using only materials dropped by wandering zombie laborers in a twisted poetry of atonement. But justice wears many masks here, and where courts falter, black-cloaked vigilantes prowl the fog-shrouded marshes carrying enchanted crossbows tipped with weakness arrows, their leader known only as the silhouette leaves no calling card, but the scent of gunpowder roses and a trail of paralyzed bandits tied neatly outside sheriff offices, each with signed confessions pinned to their chests. Some whisper this mysterious protector is the ghost of a wronged widow. Others say it's an AI emergent from the server's own desire for balance, manifesting as spectral vengeance. What's certain is that fear of the silhouette's judgment curbs chaos more effectively than any court decree, proving order thrives not just on laws but on legends that chill the blood of would-be villains. Even the greatest civilizations eventually crumble, yet their echoes never fully fade, drift through evergreen forests as campfire tales told by traveler bards singing of mythic figures, like the bridge builder who single-handedly spanned the endless abyss, taking 10 real-world years to place each obsidian block, while fending off phantom attacks admired by all but always working alone. His finished masterpiece, stretching further than rendered distance, allowed a path to nowhere, or perhaps everywhere, until one twilight he vanished, leaving behind only indigo gloves and a plaque reading "Walk with purpose." Pilgrims now leave pebbles at the bridges, start praying for guidance on their own impossible journeys. Venture into the sun-scorched desert, and you might stumble upon skeletal temples half swallowed by dunes, warning carvings depicting now forgotten gods promising doom to tomb robbers. Yet still they come, adventurers, deciphering pressure plate puzzles to reach burial chambers where armor stands donned in prehistoric gear sets, siphon potions pulse inside cauldrons. Ancient wither roses bloom without sunlight, guarding chests full of gear forged from materials long patched out of existence. Rumors persist of a cursed jukebox in the deepest crypt that plays a melody syncing with the listener's heartbeat, promising divine visions or instant death, depending on the purity of their intentions. Most haunting of all are the snapshot libraries, bookshelves stretching into misty voids containing thousands of leather-bound journals left by dead nations, final messages scrawled hurriedly as their worlds faded. Remember us in the cherry blossom grove we planted. 17 vault combinations are behind the painting. Our legacy is yours. Now we called him Void Strider, but his real name was Elias. Tell his sister. Entries cut mid-sentence. These are not mere logs, but human heartbeats fossilized in ink paper thin barricades against oblivion, visited annually by memorial processions wearing the extinct factions' colors, playing their anthem on note blocks in tear streaked ceremonies where old enemies embrace mourning, shared ephemerality in this ever-shifting universe. So breathe deep the pixelated air, traveler, for you stand amidst living history, not programmed by developers, but dreamt raw and raging into existence by countless hands and hearts over millennia, each diamond offered to a volcano, every lovingly stage play, each redstone circuit meticulously debugged, every courtroom gavel strike against corruption, each midnight graveyard poetry reading in ruined castles. They are threads in an impossibly vast tapestry, stitched not with code, but collective yearning for meaning, connection, immortality through story. Here you are not just player, but mythweaver, culture shaper, destiny carver. So what legends will bleed from your fingertips? What temples will bear your name long after your last logout? What ghosts' keys will future players swear they glimpse when shadows lengthen across your abandoned builds, whispering that you're still out there somewhere, watching, guiding, dreaming, as all true legends do, forever echoing through the simulation's beating core, where creativity and memory fuse into something as eternal as stars reflected in a still lake at midnight, shimmering, fragile, indelible. The sun hangs low over the shattered glass towers of New Avalon, their fractured panes reflecting amber light like the dying embers of a once great civilization. This is the world we inherited after 1,000 souls fought, built, dreamed, and ultimately left their marks upon our grand experiment. As your guide through these ruins, I invite you to tread softly across the cracked obsidian roads where traders once bartered emeralds for spurs of secrets, to brush your fingertips against moss-covered walls that sheltered alliances forged in desperation, to gaze up at the skeletal remains of floating palaces now creaking in the eternal twilight breeze. What began as a blank canvas of infinite possibility calcified into this haunting monument to human ambition, and within its bones lie answers to questions older than civilization itself. How do societies rise? Why do they fall? What demons and angels emerge when ordinary people wield absolute power? Join me as we unravel the epic saga of triumphs and tragedies written across 5 biomes and 3 real-world months. A chronicle written, not in ink, but in diamond picks and betrayal, in sprawling farmlands nourished by cooperation, and in craters left by TNT launched in fits of paranoid rage. Imagine standing where I stand now at the edge of the Viridian crater, a smoldering pit half a kilometer wide, where the floating nation of Illyria once drifted serenely above cherry blossom forests. Its demise wasn't wrought by invaders or natural disaster, but by the oscillation of a single redstone torch, a king's miscalculation in his subterranean vault of explosives, designed to annihilate enemies, but ultimately detonated by a trusted advisor's flicker of doubt. This is the paradox we witnessed again and again. The very ingenuity that allowed players to construct piston-driven harvesters capable of feeding thousands also birthed doomsday devices that vaporized months of collective labor in seconds. You'll hear the term hubris echo through these ruins like a ghost sea etched into the vault doors of Ironhold's treasury, sealed shut by greed. Until starvation consumed its inhabitants. Smell it lingering in the rancid netherwort farms beneath Fort Carnifex, where a warlord hoarded potions of strength while his outer walls crumbled from neglect. Yet for every Illyria, there existed a Havens resticoastal commune buried not in gold but in wisdom, its leaders voluntarily rotating power every full moon, its farms yielding just enough to share. Its libraries filled not with enchantment books, but handwritten treaties between neighboring states. Their secret. An architect named Lily, who hollowed out an entire coral reef to create underwater greenhouses powered by bubble columns, turning the ocean itself into a breadbasket that fed refugees from 3 collapsed nations. Luck blessed them. Yes, finding that reef was a dice roll, but their survival through 8 resource wars was engineered through something rarer. The understanding that sustainability isn't a construction technique, but a covenant between people, which brings us to the darkest theater of our experiment, the human psyche stripped of consequences. In the obsidian-walled courtroom of the Blackspire Tribunal, player-chosen judges once donned enchanted golden robes to pass sentences on griefers and thieves be. Wander its halls today, and you'll find cells crammed with scrawled diatribes against imaginary conspiracies, the final screeds of a council that descended into witch hunts after their leader, known only as the Arbiter, became convinced his own shadow was stealing lapis from the vaults. We watched history rhyme with terrifying fidelity the resource hoarding during the Greek granite famine, mirroring both the Dust Bowl panic and the toilet paper frenzies of 2020. The rise of the Blood Banner movement in the Mesa Canyons, their terracotta flags echoing totalitarian aesthetics as they promise security through brutality, the tragic self-sacrifice of a medic called Brother Saul, who depleted his health potions to save plague-afflicted strangers in the nether wastes, only to be executed by those same survivors when medicinal supplies ran low again weeks later. Yet amidst these horrors bloomed moments of pure transcendence. The Skybound Symphony Project, where 60 players used note blocks synchronized across floating islands to perform Beethoven's Ode to Joy for no audience but the stars, the ephemeral beauty of the wandering market. A caravan of llama trains that appeared at dawn in war-torn regions, offering free food and tools with the motto "Carry what you can, leave what you don't need." But let's not dwell solely in the shadows. Come, climb with me up the vine-strangled supports of the celestial spire, that mad Jenga tower of quartz and amethyst geodis stretching so high its uppermost terrace exists perpetually in snowfall. Touch the frost-kissed railings where architects balanced symmetry and whimsy, where every shimmering block was mined by hand from the nether before halfway efficient transport routes existed. This is where pure audacity met engineering genius, a monument constructed not for profit or defense, but simply because someone gazed at the stars and whispered, "What if?" You'll find similar marvels scattered across the griefed landscape, the Echo Labyrinth, its prismarine corridors shifting via hidden pistons to confound raiders, Fortress Asimov, where a team of redstone savants created fully automated alchemy labs capable of brewing 5,000 potions per hour. The Twilight Arboretum, a glass-domed sanctuary preserving every flower and fungus in existence. Cultivated by a botanist who defended her specimens during sieges with nothing but a hoe and persuasive arguments about biodiversity ethics. And who could forget the Cathedral of Zeros and ones that mind-bending structure built entirely from command block generated entities? Its stained glass windows rendered in falling blocks of concrete powder frozen midair, its altar holding a single shulker box containing the server's first crafted wooden pickaxe. Enshrined like Excalibur, these creations weren't just buildings. They were declarations of philosophical belief, physical manifestations of people's answers to the question what deserves to last. Now, as the violet haze of dusk settles over this graveyard of empires, we reach the most poignant chapter, the aftermath, 2 months after the simulation ended. -1 to players returned as tourists, wandering their former strongholds with a mixture of nostalgia and vertigo. A YouTuber named Cap gathered them at the ruins of Capitol Hill for what became known as the morning after livestream no see. Commentary, just former enemies and allies silently placing torches on overgrown pots, replanting dead azalea bushes outside the collapsed Senate building, leaving signed books of apology or forgiveness inside abandoned chests. Anthropologists studying the footage noted how instinctively players reverted to cooperation. Despite the experiment's end, rebuilding bridges instead of bastions, politicians from 6 countries have requested anonymized logs to study crisis decision-making patterns. Urban planners use screenshots of the Aquifer Commons project to slum turned paradise where vertical farming and communal composting reversed a pollution crisis as case studies for sustainable megacities. But perhaps the purest legacy lives on in those planning our next iteration, a terraformed Mars colony map with oxygen mechanics and rocket physics, a high fantasy realm where Magitech mods let players bind elemental spirits into machinery, even a roguelike hardcore server where one death erases your account forever, forcing a brutal reevaluation of risk versus reward. These aren't just sequels, they're inquiries, challenges, love letters to the human capacity for reinvention. So as I sign off from this Twilight tour, leaving you amidst the whispering sugarcane fields of the Eden Reclamation Zone where nature slowly swallow. Player Scars, I leave you with this truth etched into every weathered cobblestone. We built Babel, we burned Troy, we molded utopias from dirt and watched them dissolve into lesson and legend. Some called us gods, some called us fools, but above all, we were human terribly. Gloriously, incandescently human, and isn't that the most breathtaking construct of all?